What is up, everybody? Hoang Zero here, and today we have for you all the BT14 tier list. Joining me today, we do have Zero, as per usual.
Hey, what's up?
And so for this video, if you don't know, BT14 is the format between November and EX5, and EX5 is not until January, so we have like 2.5-ish months of BT14. And the thing about BT14, however, is that we don't have a lot of regional level events for this format. I think we have one offline regional in Los Angeles, but other than that, it's a locals format, really. Maybe Bandai will announce some more events like later throughout, but we have Ultimate Cup, but that's Ultimate Cup, so you know I digress.
Yeah, it's a very for fun format.
Yeah.
Not too sweaty. This is the format where just take out your pet deck and play it for fun.
Basically.
At your locals. Yeah.
Yeah, but what's really cool is that this is kind of the format that marks a reboot is a really strong word, but kind of like a fresh start, if you will, because it's the new design team, right? So the new cards, they have like a new little layout with like the new evolution bubble and all that stuff. You can see the design philosophy of these cards have also shifted as well, so it's very interesting stuff. This is like the first set where we get a lot of the new ace mechanics as well, and we get some really cool stuff. So overall, I think this is going to be a very interesting tier list, and this tier list is going to be a lot more for the local level intended, until Bandai is like, hey guys, we're throwing some more regionals at you. But the decks on this tier list, there are decks that either have received new support in this upcoming set, or they have performed in the BT13 format. So, jump.
Yep. If a deck got even like one card, we included.
Yeah, we included it.
That's why this seems a lot bigger than usual.
Yeah. So, without further ado, jumping straight into it, we have Alphamon. So, Alphamon is a deck that actually did pretty well in BT13. It had a really great ShineGreymon matchup thanks to WarGreymon, and then you also have, Breath of the Gods, and you have great ways to deal with all of the bounce and whatnot now because of BT13 Alpha. One of the biggest benefactors, or one of the biggest benefits you get from BT14 is going to be that training boost. Alphamon is already such a memory-efficient deck that introducing training boost is just going to streamline that game plan a lot easier. The game plan for it was already very solid, using Oryukin to put down pressure and whatnot. I really don't see any reason why Alphamon couldn't compete at, a relatively decent level. And also the fact that it has the BT13 Alphamon effect does mean you're immune to Lugapop, and it also means that Lugamon cannot swing, which is a really huge thing, right? Because then Luga can't OTK you, and then you just threaten it back.
Yeah.
And then, like we said, your ShineGreymon matchup is pretty good. You do well into majority of blue decks because of your inability to be removed. Or, like, you can get removed, but then you just strip a source instead, so, like, really, what does it matter? Green decks can give you a little bit of trouble, and Bloom is a deck that it's going to be on a lot of people's radars. But for the most part, Alphamon does pretty well. So I think, despite all the good things we've just said, I do think Alphamon is a tier 2 deck. And the reason why I do think Alphamon is a tier 2 deck is it has a solid game plan, but the game plan in and of itself, yes, it's solid, can only get you so far. Because of the lack of damage, you'll often find yourself, because of the one WarGreymon that you're limited to, it makes end-in games a little bit trickier. And so I think that being I guess a roadblock is what I want to say. That being a roadblock is a little bit awkward. Yes, you can use Tsunarizamon. Yes, you can run Zubagon Punch, and those are really great substitutes for the WarGreymon. But, they're searchable by training, and Tsunariza is searchable by memory boost, but none of it's searchable by your archetypal searchers, which I think does hurt the deck a little bit. So, overall, if the deck had more consistent access to security pressure, I think it would be a lot higher. But tier 2 is where I would put it. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Overall, it's kind of like, it's not too bad. It's not as good as the doesn't have the consistency of the BT9 version of the deck, obviously.
Right.
But it's back to a very playable state. It's just kind of too slow into the top dogs, in my opinion.
Yeah. All right. Next we do have Diarabbit. I don't know how you want to pronounce
that. Just call it
Angoro. Yeah. Angora.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you even describe this deck? It's like,
this deck is really awkward, is how I would describe it. Like, you do this whole gimmick where you're like,
I
Oh,
suspend, I gain memory, and then I swing.
Yeah, it's like green stuff, right? And you like a lot of time it wants you to like swing on Lamort because the old Lamort is like, hey, swing with me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the new Diabit is like, oh, at the end of your turn, you can like attack when your opponent Digimon, so you
Yeah.
get removal, but it like just doesn't do anything.
It's like there's a reason why the only relevant green deck we've had in like the last 6 sets is Bloom, right? It's because the green mechanic by itself is no longer sufficient enough. So
It just lacks pressure. It doesn't have any kill
Yeah.
pressure whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'll let you handle this next one.
Okay. Armor Ace. So we for you Armor fans out there, I know there are a bunch of you. We like despite not getting direct armor support, Armor kind of see a resurgence this set, and I think is actually pretty decent.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't know what this deck is, so again, I call it Armor Ace is because what the concept of the deck is, you just play the old Armor deck, but now you include the new Ace card.
Mm-hmm.
And primarily the card that you would play is Zudomon for blue and Magna Angemon for yellow. And both of those are, really solid Ace effects. So the idea is that you swing on your Ace, you swing on your armor, and maybe you have the armor push and then you re-evolve to end the turn. Or your armor survive, you set like another body or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're pressuring with your armor, and then you bait your opponent to swing. Because a lot of times, especially in two decks that doesn't have like DP protection, what they'll usually do is they'll do a pop effect into your armor and then swing over your Vmon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, or they'll swing into your Vmon first, and then set up a deletion effect. Well, the Ace mechanic kind of counteract that, and you have some really strong card like Zudo, which forces your opponent to play in a really awkward manner to play around the Ace if they're aware of it's coming. If they're not aware of it coming, it can completely catch them off guard just by having this on the field. I think they're both great addition to the deck, and it's just overall just like I think the deck is pretty playable now.
So question, right? So, until we get BT14 Magnamon, of course, this deck has historically always had an issue with bounce and DP minus. And bouncing and DP minus is a really big part of the BT14 format because we do have decks like ShineGreymon, like Ulforce, like Mirage still around. How does this deck deal with those?
Not amazing, obviously, because you still can, ideally you go into like Magna X, right? You can also go into Magna X. And if they remove Magna X, they will have to have 2 forms of removal to get rid of the armor under Magna X. But typically, what can happen is if you're on Magna X and they just remove the Magna X, they're still playing into your Ace by trying to swing.
Well, so with Mirage's case, can't Mirage just go into burst mode and bounce it back?
Right, and that's what I'm saying. It's still not good.
Yeah.
Into the decks, it's still not good into the decks that can just get around the armor mechanic, inherently. One thing you do get that's kind of nice is you do have access to protoform, so you can use that to heal. But
wait, no, we don't have protoform. It's EX5.
Oh, EX5 is protoform.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Never mind.
Okay, so then question: where would you put this? Because if you have a weakness to DP minus and bounce, which are 2 really big parts of the format. And before people say, but you have gold Digichromazoid to deal with DP minus. Well, yeah, you have an option. Are you able to consistently draw the yellow unsearchable option?
Yeah, it's okay. There's some cool stuff. You remember the BT14 Magnamon let you float a Vmon, so you can use that for consistency pieces.
Right.
It's. Again, I don't want to raise the hope too high. It's playable. It's very, very playable. It's not great. It's I think it's on the verge of tier Y, but I feel like it's a lot more competent than those decks. Because at least it's probably not gonna win you any games against most of the tier 1 deck, but I think it's at least competitive to the tier 2 decks. So I would put it the bottom of tier 2.
Okay. I will. For the armor fans. For the armor fans. But, yeah, I'm a little bit skeptical about it. I'm not going to lie. I do think into certain matchups, you're probably pretty good. Anything that relies on...
I think you're really solid into like Melga,
Mhm.
for example, right? Like you
Yeah.
make it really awkward for them to swing on their 5.
Yeah. I agree. I for sure agree. Um, I just
Like
definitely.
you
Well,
also mess with deck with like blue floor,
actually,
right?
I have a question, right? So what if they just Evo into 6, like Melga Ace, and then swing X antibody, Melga X bounce?
They can do that, but they lose 2 swings. They lose like 2 or 3 swings doing that,
Hmm. Okay.
right?
Do you not think that's like that tempo loss is enough to like kind of seal the deal?
Not really. Be, without the especially before EX5,
Mm-hmm.
without the new support, if they go into 6, they lose so much pressure.
Okay.
So if they're losing 3 swing to just bounce you,
Mm-hmm.
I think you're okay with that, right? I think you're
Right.
actually very okay with that scenario.
Okay. Okay. Moving up next, we do have Beelzemon. Do you want to do this one, or do you want me to do it?
You can go ahead and do it.
Okay, so Beelzemon is actually a pretty big benefactor from Training Boost, right? Training Boost being able to accelerate your game plan, also the consistency you do gain. So, like, for example, oh, you found your one of EX2 Ipmon that you can stack now, hee, kind of quirky. And then you can evolve into your Ballmon for 1, which is pretty impactful, I feel like. Evolve into your Beelzemon for 1. Really just a plethora of things, right? But I think Beelzemon is a really big benefactor of Training Boost. And outside of Training Boost, I don't remember if I don't think it gets anything like super crazy. I say that with like air quotation marks because like Purple did get some stuff because like you did get the Skull Satamon, you got the Ghoulmon, which both support the mill play style, but I don't think any of this is like super crazy for the deck. But the fact that you do benefit from that training boost to help accelerate your game plan, I think is pretty good.
Yeah.
I think with that being said, it's probably like decent tier 2-ish, I think, because like Beelzemon X is still like a really like crazy card in the grand scheme of things. But it's definitely no longer in that tier 1 status as it used to be. And I think there are certain matchups where it's just rough across the board just because like due to the lack of EX2 Impmon. Like Bloomlord is like you can definitely deal with Bloomlord. You have a lot of removal, but also Bloomlord is much faster in this upcoming format that it becomes a little bit trickier. These blue decks can be a little bit problematic, and you have decks like the WarGreymon, which now that you're no longer fast enough to just outpace it, that can be an issue as well. So I think it's probably like somewhere like lowish tier 2.
Yeah, it feels like a very honest deck now.
Mhm.
That doesn't have the insane high roll that it used to have.
Yeah.
Like you're just gonna be average rolling most of the time
Mhm.
because of the lack of EX. But yeah, on average,
Yeah.
it feels very tier 2-ish.
Yeah, and then we do have Belphemon. And Belphemon unfortunately got hit as a byproduct of Apocalypse, thanks
The,
you.
the biggest victim of the tier list.
Yeah,
of the
actually.
ban list.
Yeah, because you lose Eismon engine, which was a pretty big part of the Belphemon engine. Not only that, but Belphemon is not a deck that really benefits from training boost, unfortunately. Because I mean, like, what are you training boost into? Sleep mode? Like, it's not really impactful, you know. Like, you don't really want to keep turn on sleep mode. You're kind of just okay passing turn on it. So, you don't benefit from training very well. You lost your best level 4 in slot. Like, what do you do now? You know, like, what's the solution for Belphemon?
You wait till next set and get a better cycle engine because currently you're kind of
Yeah.
the issue with this deck is that it was already not too fast, like it was on the slow side, right? It has a lot of consistency, but now that you lost one of your main draw engine, it just feel really bad to play. Maybe there's certain things that you can try to cope, like you run more boosts to grab your pieces, but overall it just on average it just feels much slower. And unfortunately, that's really I personally don't think there's a real way to remedy it until next set.
With
When you
Garu
can
X.
you can run the Garu engine, the purple
Yeah.
Discard engine with Garu X, and then like it'll probably get back to the same speed it had previously, or maybe even slightly faster. But yeah, until then, it's a tier Y.
Yeah. Okay. And then we do have Imperialdramon, which did receive support via the movie, weirdly enough. It got the new Imperialdramon, it got the new Veemon, the new Davis as well. And weirdly enough, all three are pretty solid, right?
Yeah.
That being said, so Davis lets you play Veedmon for free. It lets you gain memory whenever you have a free Digimon at the start of your turn. It lets you evolve into X Veedmon for 1. Veedmon gains 1 memory, I believe, when it evolves into a free Digimon. And the Imperialdramon suspends, unsuspends, and then plays a Tamer or a 4,000 or less DP Digimon. And it's Blastoise, nonetheless. But I don't really think it does anything super crazy for the deck, right?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, what does this deck do to win the game? Like, you have your own Imperial game plan, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I guess you can go and, like, I guess when they designed this card, their concept is like, oh, you go into Imperialdramon, you do your swing.
Right.
And then to set the ace, but it's like, well, Imperialdramon doesn't have protection.
Yeah.
Like, they just pop it.
Yeah, it's not, it's aight. Like, is it better than Belphemon? Hard to say.
No, because I think if Belphemon draw well, it's still a much better deck.
Valid.
Like, yeah, how does Imperial win the game?
That's a great question. I wish I had an answer to that, but I don't. Coming up next, we do have Bloomlord, and Bloomlord, man, is that a good deck. Okay, so I know, like, every format, somebody's like, dude, Bloomlord, it's finally Bloomlord's time to shine. But, like, I unironically think this is probably, like, one of the better formats Bloomlord is gonna have in, like, for a hot sec, right? Because in BT14, you get all the Rosemon support, and because Rosemon is a plant/fairy, Bloomlord gets support, right? And so Bloomlord, you get the new Talmon, you get the new Togemon that plays Tamers for very cheap. You got the new Mimi, that's consistency booster plus Ramper. Lilymon Ace is really fantastic for the deck. Rosemon's like, whatever. But
yeah, like, the deck got like 4 really crack cards.
Yeah, right? And little teaser, Bloomlord also got a really interesting piece of support, and I'm not going to reveal it in this tier list just yet. We'll reveal it whenever we do the Bloomlord deck profile, but it's really hot. It's a really hot tech, and I think it might elevate Bloomlord to another level completely. I might just be coping, for the record. It might be a little cope, but in testing, it's pretty good. But yeah, so I think for the most part, Bloom is going to be tier 1. I think it has a lot going for it, and like when you break down its matchup spreads, it's pretty good on paper. If you know it's into Fenrir, you have Pomumon to stop its summoning into any like blue flare, blue hybrid bullshit. You have Cherrymon to like, just stop them in their tracks hard. Into decks like what else is like good on this list? Ulforce, or really just anything blue. You have Quartzmon, and Quartzmon's kind of insane.
I think just being one of the few decks that can abuse Quartz put you at like a really big advantage, because Quartz is just like the stop is just so much of.
Oh, we didn't mention training boost. You also benefit from training boost, right? That's a 4-cost Quartzmon. That's pretty huge. So yeah, overall, Bloom gets a lot of stuff going for it. I think the bad matchups for Bloom that you will end up finding, however, I think Shine is still a really bad matchup for you. Shine was never a good matchup, and they got training boost this format, so even though they lost Geogray, they got both red and yellow training to compensate for it. So yeah, it's kind of rough out here. And WarGreymon / BlackWarg is also still a rough matchup because they just remove you a little too easily. So yeah. For the most part, you are a tier 1 deck. You do really well in the majority of the format. It's just a few decks here and there will still kind of like slap you on the wrist a little bit.
Yep.
And then Blue Flare. You want to do this one or should I?
You can go ahead.
All right, I see. It's funny because in chat earlier, so Zero was responsible for making the tier list template. And he did put Blue Flare, and somebody was like, oh, you forgot to put Blue Flare. And he's like, I'm so tired of Blue Flare. Every format somebody mentions Blue Flare, dude. Which is true. But to be fair, Blue Flare did very well in BT13, so he has no choice but to throw this on. But yeah, Blue Flare, it actually is a pretty good deck. It did very well in BT13, in fact. It did really well in both Ultimate Cup and regional formats. Going into BT14, it does receive some new support in the form of Gammamon and Zudomon Ace, so you have some synergy with the Sword Strip shenanigans and whatnot. But you do not benefit from training because you're a Digicross deck first and foremost. And the Gammamon / Zudomon stuff is not searchable by Blazing, And in testing, what I ended up finding was my blazing would whiff a lot more than I was comfortable with because of the Zudo and Goma additions, right? Because those are non-blue flare cards. And so by increasing the count of non-blue flare in your deck, the consistency of the deck took quite a bit of a hit, actually. So I'm like 50-50 on like whether I like it or not. I kind of lean towards not personally.
Yeah, and it really
Mhm.
it doesn't abuse the Buka as some of the other blue decks
Right,
would.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of awkward. It's kind of awkward, right? Because a lot of times you just want your
you want the
blue,
Wanya, right?
yeah. You want the draw.
And you want the 3 to die. You want Gaussmon to die.
Yep, you want Jesmon to die. So it's just kind of having jamming. It's just really awkward.
So, it's probably way too good for tier Y, to be frank. But
no, I think it's competitive.
Yeah,
to a lot.
yeah,
right?
it's competitive.
Yeah, the stun style is still really good to a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I agree. Coming up next, we do have BlackWarGreymon, a tale as old as time itself. It's a good deck. No matter how you slice it, it's a good deck. I know in BT13, it kind of didn't perform as well as we expected it to, frankly. And I honestly I can't pinpoint a reason why it didn't. I think it had a lot of tools for success. That being said, your Royal Knight matchup was rough. Your Belphemon matchup was rough. MirageGaogamon could be rough. Maybe I did find the reason. Maybe we did pinpoint the reason.
It could also just be I think people are just kind of tired.
Yeah, that's also another reason, right? But going into BT14, you do get a couple of new toys, right? You get the new BT14 Agumon, so the one that lets you evolve into Greymon for free. You get your Training Boost, and Training Boost is a really huge buff for this deck. And the format is a little bit more well-suited for BlackWarGreymon, right? So MirageGaogamon took a hit, Belphemon took a hit, Royal Knights. Who's playing Royal Knights nowadays, right? Bloom is good, and Luga is good, and BlackWarGreymon does very well into both of those decks because you just clear board very easily. You have access to a lot of different type of options, like Crimson Blaze, for example, which shuts both of those decks down. And you have DP protection against Shine, so I think BT4... what's up?
One of the things that developed during the BT13 meta was we saw a variant of BlackWarGreymon doing very well, right?
OTK BlackWarGreymon?
Oh no, not OTK BlackWarGreymon. Specifically the Alter S variant.
Yes. Okay, so for those of you that do not know, there is a variant of BlackWarGreymon that did see some success in BT13, and it was piloted by Brian Q. Brian, for I think like 5 regionals straight, he made top 16 in 5 different regionals, all playing BlackWarGreymon. And a fair amount of them, he was playing an Alter B build. That was the entire sole purpose was just to make like Shine players cry, because you pop their tamer with defeat, and then you pop their other tamers with Alter B, and then you burn them for, was it 2? You burn them for 2?
Yeah.
So yeah, BlackWarGreymon, it's a deck that is very difficult to build. It has a lot of room to customize, build, and match. And just overall, I think it's in a really good place this meta. I would say it's in tier 1. It's in the running for best deck, I would say.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the fact that you can flex your Shine being still such a prominent deck in the meta, and you being able to whip your deck into a variation that just kind of dunk on Shine, makes you put you in a very good position, right?
I agree, 100%. And I think you can do that variant of BlackWarGreymon and simultaneously still keep your other matchups like consistent, right? Like you're still going to be able to beat Bloom, you're still going to be able to beat Luga and stuff like that.
Yep, I agree.
Also, it's one of the few decks in the format that can beat Venus actually with the yellow vaccine, because of the raid mechanics and BlackWarGreymon unsuspend pop. And next, I'm losing my voice a little bit, so do you mind taking this next one?
Yes. Are you sure you don't want to take this one? Because this is your favorite brigade.
Wow, Army WarGreymon. That's crazy. No,
didn't you? We played this on stream. Remember, you had that whole video.
Yep.
Where you play this against Melga.
Yep. That's all you. You can have it.
Yeah. What to say? The police, huh? It's okay.
That's crazy. All right. Yeah. Okay. I was not ready for that, but yeah, go on.
I mean, what is that to say? It's just your D police. It spawn bodies and they go up. Now it goes up a little bit more, and it has protection against removal, which is kind of neat. I think the deck is actually very solid.
Yeah.
The cards in general are very good, and I think getting a level 4 that counts up as Commandramon is huge for the deck
I
because
agree.
it added a lot of the consistency to your searches and your top decks and whatnot. But the issue with this deck still is like it kind of doesn't really win the game, and the removal is kind of bad. Brigader itself
It only pops 7 cost or lower.
Yeah, so
Wow.
you are now you're basically never touching a level 6 that's not an ace, right? So that feels really bad. And then yes, you do have protection in your spawn body, but you don't pressure. You don't generate enough kill pressure. So into, I don't know. Like you guys saw me just completely demolish this deck with MirageGaogamon, and there's plenty of other decks that have the ability to just pop a lot of your board. So it just feel like you're playing a worse version of Bloom because you're playing a Bloom that doesn't pressure.
Well, so like let's also think about it this way, right? Like let's think about your other matchups. So you lose to Ruin Mode, right? So anything that can really abuse Ruin Mode is a really difficult matchup for you because it'll pop majority of your board. And so like you have ShineGreymon, you have Yellow Vaccine. They're both Ruin Mode abusers because Ruin Mode for some reason is a vaccine. You have decks like BlackWarGreymon that can run the Crimson Blaze, and they'll probably tech Crimson Blaze for Bloom and Luga, and now you're getting hit as a byproduct for funsies, right? So I don't know. Like I just also there is stuff that can remove the smaller body because the smaller bodies they have protection against pop, I believe, but not bounce. And like you do have some protection against bounce, but you have to sack one of your other stacks for that. And so at a certain point, if you run out of resources, you're kind of just like donezoed there. Not to mention you're also vulnerable to source strip. So if you just get your protection stripped and then you get bounced, like there's not much you can do. So it's probably like, I mean, I think it's like solid. Like it's tier 2 solid.
Yeah, I think it's on the upper end of tier 2.
Yeah, is it better than Blue Flare though? That's the question. Is it better than Blue Flare?
Do I care if it's better than Blue Flare?
Yes, because you love both of these decks.
Yeah, it's.
Where is it?
It's a variation of Greymon.
You gotta give me an answer. I refuse to move on until you give me an answer here.
Let's say it's better than Blue Flare.
Alright, good talk. Alright, Diaboromon. Diaboromon does get new support in the form of Diaboromon Ace. Diaboromon Ace is when Digivolving. Yeah, it's a when Digivolving and on play. 7 cost, level 6. You get to spawn a Diaboromon token. And then during both players' turns, whenever a token is spawned, you get to pop your opponent's Digimon with a play cost of something and increase it for every token you have. Let me double check. I know.
It's 3.
It's 3. Wow, that's terrible. Wait, there's no way. It has to be more than that, right? No way. Oh my god, it's 3.
Yep.
Oh, it's not when Digivolving on play. It's when Digivolving when attacking.
Yes.
And it's 6 cost hard slam. So that's better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna correct you there, but I wanted that you finish. And I mean, it's kind of good into like.
Yeah, I mean it's
like you play to Bloom and they play a body, you pop the body.
Yeah. So Diaboromon. What to say about this deck? Okay, so Diaboromon, because it's a black deck, that does mean it falls into like the issue that all black decks run into, where it's like if you play in a certain matchups, you auto win or you auto lose, right? If you play into a matchup with bounce, you auto lose. If you play into a matchup with DP minus, you auto lose. If you play into a matchup with auto pop, you're probably gonna auto win unless they just beat you senselessly. And Diaboromon is, I mean, you just look at the meta, right? Wow. Oh, DP minus? Oh, there's ShineGreymon. Oh, there's bounce? Oh, Ulforce and Mirage. But then you look at the pop stuff, like, oh, pop, BlackWarGreymon? Easy. Luga? Easy. So, I mean, like, I guess it really just depends on like what you pair into. And Diaboromon is probably the only deck in the entire game right now that can really benefit from Genai. Because Genai means that you can set up a Diaboromon in your... you can set up a 5 in your raising area and guarantee that you're going to get an ace playoff, which I think is really cool, actually. So...
for what it's worth, I do think this is one of the better ace cards.
No, it is. It for sure is. It's a very good ace. But... I don't know. I think the fact that you're so volatile in your matchup spread is so, like, awkward, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I'm just... Because all the tokens... How much DP do the tokens have? Is it 3,000? Is 5,000?
You're pretty sure that 3,000.
Because 3,000 is very significantly worse, right? Because 3,000 means that... Oh, yeah, they are 3,000. 3,000 means you get popped by MirageGaogamon, for example, right? So you go MirageGaogamon pop. Okay, MirageGaogamon X pop. Okay, BlackWarGreymon pop. And you're like, wow, I just lost 3 bodies for fun. Hee hee.
Yeah. Shine doesn't even sweat to clear your board.
Yeah.
They go into like EX 4 Shine or something and just go, haha.
There is no EX4 Shine.
Sorry, Rice. Sorry.
Yeah. Like, and then Bloom. Bloom has Hydra, so, and they have Quartz, and Quartz is probably like your worst match. Like what are you doing to Quartz, right?
You lose.
Yeah. So I don't know. This is some tier Y kind of shit. It's cool. It's playable. Depending. Diaboromon is playable if you like go to locals, you look around, and you're like, okay, is anyone playing DP minus? Is anyone playing bounce? No. All right, I can.
Yeah, everyone just scout around, make sure everybody's playing red, and then just pop out this.
That's what I'm saying. If they're all playing like pop, if they're playing purple, dude, whip the Diaboromon out. It's time. But if they're playing, if you're playing blue or yellow, put it away.
Yeah. Oh, next is your favorite deck.
I hate this deck. All right, Eosmon. Eosmon also got our promo. It's. I got hit with like a wave of depression right now. That's kind of crazy. I'm like reliving BT6 all over again. Because if you guys don't know, Green in BT6 did not get an actual SR because Eosmon took the slot for some reason, right? So Green got handed actually nothing. Green's SR slot went to a white card that didn't do anything for any other archetype other than Eosmon, which sucked. That was actually tragic. Like, that is the worst wave of support Green has ever gotten because it wasn't a wave of support. That's the
HPD text.
Yeah. So anyway, Eosmon has been haunting me ever since then. And it got a new promo card in the form of Promo Morphomon, which searches for Eosmon and Menoa, and then it stacks itself, and it reduces the cost of an Eosmon evolution by 3 from the ESS. Which, I mean, Morphomon itself is a good card, but then you remember what your win con is, and you remember what your deck does.
Maybe this deck will get a second wave of support.
I think the only time I've ever been like kind of impressed by this deck is when you have the Chimera Kurasari Eosmon loop, where you keep just playing out Eosmon and they keep getting rush, and I think that's funny.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
That's one way to describe it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is this the worst deck in this list?
I mean, like, it might be better than Leomon.
Okay.
Yeah, alright. Like, it's probably better than Leomon.
I'll give it. It might be better than Leomon because Leomon has gotten way more support than this deck.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, for Eosmon standards, not the worst deck is probably pretty good. Okay, Etemon. Etemon is... Okay, for the record, it actually got really good support in BT14. The Chumon and the Sukamon, and especially the Etemon, are very good. Like, the Etemon is actually, like, broken. That Etemon, It heals itself. When it's checked from security, it plays out a 6 for free, and... it doesn't matter, because your Etemon choices suck right now. Haha. Wait until EX5, because in EX5, I think it's actually, like, a very competitive deck.
Yeah, this deck is so close to being good, because it's been getting, like, decent card every single set. I feel like this deck got support every single set for, like, the last 5 set.
Let's see. So it got support in 11. It did not get support in 12. It got support in 13, and it gets support in 14 and EX5. So 12 is the only set it didn't get support in? Yeah. So, Etemon is, like, on the verge of greatness, and all it needs is, like, the last wave of support from EX5, and then it's, like, actually competitive. But until it gets that little push, it's, like, tier Y. It's probably worse than Dia Rabbit. Because, like, the issue is, like, your top end is just not very good. Because you have Metal Etemon from BT11, that spawns bodies, but then it doesn't really do anything afterward. And then you have King Etemon, and that really doesn't do anything. and into certain matchups that's just absolutely garbage. So yeah, I don't know. It just wait one more set. It was wait 2 months, guys, and Edamon's viable. And then speaking of decks that are viable, Machinedramon is not viable. As much as I love Machinedramon, and I like really like Machinedramon, Machinedramon suffers from this really cool issue, again, that most black decks do, is there are too many forms of removal and you can't cover all of them. The game has gotten to the point where it's a little too fast for Machinedramon, because like when Machinedramon was good, which was BT12, the format was, relatively slower. Outside of like Beelzemon, but you had an insane Beelzemon matchup because you just deck him out anyway. But back then, the format was much slower. And, in 13 and 14, the game is a lot faster. And you can't keep up with all these different forms of removal adequately enough without, like, hurting yourself too much. Like, okay, to beat Shine, you need EX1 Machinedramon, but then you need this inherit to be able to bloom and Luga, but then Luga decides to expand like +4 bodies, and there's too many bodies for you to deal with. You can't get rid of all the bodies, and you're just kind of sitting there twiddling your thumb. You're just like, oh man. So, I feel very passionate about this deck. I love this deck to pieces. I don't think it's very good in BT14. I think you could probably steal a couple of wins just because of its Machinedramon. Like, people will probably just, like, look at it, it's a brick wall, and, like, run into it a couple of times, and it just won't do anything. But from a tournament perspective, it's not very good. I mean, it's probably a better deck than Beelzemon and Armor Ace. Probably. Like if Magnamon is tier 2, Machinedramon technically is tier 2, but then that just makes me want to put Magnamon in tier 3, so... like that doesn't make me go like, damn, Machinedramon tier 2, now that just makes me like, damn, we should be a little bit stricter. You know what? I'm gonna be stricter. Here you go. Alright, Machinedramon tier 3. Beelzemon, you're cutting it close, buddy. You're cutting it a little close. A little bit. Alright, you want to deal Gammamon?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Gammon finally wrote that. Finally got proper support, right? And the question is, that support good enough? Not really.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the issue with this deck is that it's very piece reliant. Typically, you're really reliant on seeing the hero, because a lot of your mechanic is like, oh, this activate when you tuck a card into, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the cool thing about this deck is that you can hit very high DP threshold, because like hero give 2k power, you have your Gammon give 2k power, you have Break Claw that give 2k power. So like you're realistic. Like I played this way back in BT11, BT12, early BT12. I played this into like WarGreymon, and I was able to hit like 22k stack to swing over the WarGreymon, right? So that, and with like Bliss and Raise, very cool. The issue with it is, again, it's very piece reliant. And the win con is just like, yeah, you don't really have a way to win the game. Like you go into your level 6 and it can swing twice if you pop something, but if there's nothing on board, you don't really do anything. Proxima is cool, but Proxima is like just another card that just remove body. It doesn't generate enough pressure on board. So, and then none of your stuff have protection, so you just kind of get whacked against a lot of these other decks. So currently is in like tier Y, borderline bottom tier 2, but is realistically tier Y. The main reason is that this deck really needs the Japanese LM set, and the card that you need is Bokomon. And if you don't know what Bokomon does,
yeah, Bokomon's broken.
Yeah, Bokomon is like a 3-cost. Again, it's like support for hybrid. Now support for Gamma. The new Bokomon is on play. Look at top 4. Add any card with Gamma on text. So it essentially searches your entire deck, including itself. And then it also, the secondary effect is during our turn, whenever a Gammamon
you got
in its stack,
I believe in you.
Yeah, whenever come on, man, that's a lot of text. Whenever a Gammamon get deleted, you can pop this card to protect. Well, actually, it's when it leaves the battle. So it's all form of protection. So you have like this. You kind of force your opponent to have 2 form of removal to get rid of your stack. So Bokomon's like a really huge addition to this card, along with the new Gammamon that let you play a
the purple one.
hero. Yeah. So those 2 cards actually push this deck into like a very competitive tier 2 territory. But until you actually get those cards, this deck is just lacking.
So we all know that this deck is, it's multicolor as hell, right? Like you have Klaus Gammamon, you have Clueless Gammamon, Wezen Gammamon. Does that mean you cannot use Training Boost? I'm sure that's a question on like everyone's mind, right? If you want to play Gammamon, you see this cool Training Boost, can you play Training Boost?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
The reason for that is, yes, it is multicolor, but your primary color is still red. A lot of your most important pieces are still red. So, for example, in my list, I ran red Training Boost because it still grabs the majority of your pieces. Will you whiff? Of course, like you're gonna whiff on some pieces, but you just kind of have to accept that, right?
Yeah.
It does make your evolutions a little bit awkward sometimes, but it's a trade-off you have to. Otherwise, you really don't have the consistency that you need because this deck is very piece reliant. So that's why Boko's kind of huge, because Boko can grab everything. And then on top of that, the new Cyrusmon Ace is actually pretty good. It popped 8k and then it gains 1k additional pop for every color you have in your sources. So oftentimes, it will hit a 5 most of the time. But depend on what you tuck, you can hit a level 6.
Wait, so, is that the serious mon we have right now? Or is that
no,
LM?
No. It came in LM, I believe. It should be the Ace series mon.
So we don't have that.
I'm pretty sure we don't have it in English.
Yeah, we don't have it.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, this deck, the 3 cards that this deck uses from LM is actually you can use Regulus, but Regulus is like less good in my opinion. But it's the other 3 cards pretty huge for this deck.
Yeah. So, tier 3. All right. Hunters. So Hunters is a deck that historically is just always solid. It's like almost always good. It's really hard to argue against Hunters, TBH. Going into BT14, however, there's a bit of an issue. You do not use Training Boost very well because you're running such a multicolored bottom end that like it's kind of just awkward, and all your tamers are different colors. So what Training Boost do you do? Because if you choose one color, you're gonna whiff on all the other tamers. You're gonna whiff on like a lot of your Digimon. Like you can go purple, but then you can only grab Tageru, and if you decide the Bagra Army U and then the Ryoma, so that's not really great. So inability to use Training Boost is one big reason why this deck gets a little bit of nerf. Hades Force decks are much stronger this format. BlackWarGreymon and WarGreymon are both abusers of Hades Force, so that also hurts your matchup a little bit. You have decks like Galuga that are able to just outright OTK you, which can be very difficult to deal with. And, honest question, how do you deal with Yellow Vaccine? Right? Because you can't arrest your Dramon tuck. And you're gonna have a -1 sec attack inflicted on you, as long as they can keep like repeating the Venusmon effect, right? But then they have Machinedramon with a 4-grade dragon support, and then they can just like constantly facilitate that -1 sec. So it gets a little tricky, right? You can go into Quartzmon, but then like what happens if the Quartzmon gets blown up, right? Because they're gonna be running control options. So obviously, like yellow vaccine isn't like the end all be all. Like, oh, if I lose the yellow vaccine, I'm just not a good deck. Like, yes, I get that, but yellow vaccine is definitely going to be a popular deck from the get go, just because a Messenger of Hope, Patamon, it's all really cool cards that we just got brand new. So I think Hunters takes a bit of an L because of those 3 reasons. Also, Quartzmon is just annoying, and Bloom is good. So yeah, I think Hunters is a solid tier 2 deck, but I can't put it confidently in tier 1 anymore. What do you think?
Yeah, this is one of those decks that just keeps seeing result ever since it's got introduced. And I think it's been pretty impressive.
Yeah, no, for sure. Very, very good resume.
Yeah. I don't realistically see this deck being tier 1 in this meta, but it's still good.
Okay, we do have Amphimon now, and Amphimon does get support in the form of the Training Boost as well as Bukamon. Amphimon is probably one of the decks that benefit from Bukamon the most, because it means you can swing and guarantee that you're going to survive outside of like options and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's a very safe swing. And being a safe swing means that you can confidently use your Thetismon unsuspend effects, and then while keeping your trash count very high for your protection. So, and then Training Boost is, you're grabbing your Kyoshiros, you're grabbing your pieces, like it's just, both of those cards really push Amphimon to like another level. And the way Amphimon source strips and the way Amphimon has protection is very unique. being able to selectively source strip your opponent's sources is really good because you also benefit from the Zudo and Gomamon engine as well. So those are also 2 more cards to benefit towards you. Amphimon float into Gomamon is pretty good. Zudomon makes some really cool ace plays because then you can go like Tesla Jelly, swing twice, and then like bait out a Zudo play. So yeah, 4 really great cards to help benefit the Amphimon deck. The fact that you can stun out boards very, very easily with a form of removal via bounce is pretty great. And yeah, I think matchups like BlackWarGreymon are still going to be, for the most part, very difficult at times. But then you have matchups like Leomon that are a lot easier to handle because you do deny them the 3rd swing, and then you can stun out their board on the back end. So yeah, I think Amphimon is like a very solid tier 2.
Yep, it's the best deck from the RB1 set.
Yeah, agreed. And then we do have Jesmon, and Jesmon got Savior unbanned. Savior is now back at 4, and this is the Savior that was problematic from BT6 and BT7 because it was just OTK, OTK, OTK. Now we've gotten to the point where that OTK is actually considered slow. It's considered not consistent because now you have Leomon running around, and Leomon is just a better Jesmon in that sense. So the question that becomes, what makes Jesmon good and or bad? Well, Jesmon still has the GX play, and the GX play for most decks is still very difficult to actually break through. You also do pretty well, for the most part, into like BlackWarGreymon and WarGreymon because you can swing like significantly larger than them unless they're like building specifically to beat you. But the fact that you can swing over them with like 21, 22k is pretty great. Then you can pivot between a Jesmon GX style of play and then like pivot into like OTK Savior. And you really just like bluff into your opponent, so they really don't know what they're playing into. So you keep them on their toes, and I think that's a really great line of play. You do struggle into matchups like the Bloomlord, however. You will struggle into things like Blue Flare. Blue Flare is probably one of your worst matchups of all time. And Alphamon is also a very hard matchup, which I don't like. Alphamon like really shouldn't be like, oh, I suck into Alphamon, suddenly I'm like tier 2. But nonetheless, matchups can be a little bit awkward. I think having a bad Bloom matchup can be really weird. And yes, BlackWarGreymon and WarGreymon are some of your better matchups. You do have to remember that, back then you didn't have things like the BT12 Agumon, BT12 Greymon, starter deck tie, right? These things are giving you additional DP throughout the game. So now those decks can actually match the amount of DP that Jesmon's putting out if they decide to build that way. So I think Jesmon, it's in a spot to potentially be good, but it's like, it's kind of on that cusp, So I think for the most part, it's probably like, it's like middle-ish tier 2, I think. It just really depends on like what matchups you play into, which is really funny because it has Gankumon, it's part black, and as the Hoang Zero philosophy goes, auto win, auto lose, electric boogaloo. Alright.
Wait, what does that say about BlackWarGreymon then?
That's basically a red deck. Let's not kid ourselves. But also, actually, no, wait. BlackWarGreymon does auto lose into random matchups. That part is actually correct. There are certain matchups where you literally just can't do anything because you just don't have protection against it, or you just have no way to get through it, right? Like, you ever play BlackWarGreymon versus Belphemon? That matchup sucks a lot. You now have Ulforce, who has the ability to strip all of your protection, and now they can bounce you, and you're just sitting there, and you're just like twiddling your thumb, and you're just like, oh man. And then you play into anything that can swing over you, anything that just outmuscle you, and you're just like, oh man. Like it really just, man. All right, whatever. You can have the next one.
Can I? Great.
You're welcome.
Leomon. What can we say about Leomon? It got I believe 4 cards in the set.
It did. It actually did.
Yeah. Leomon is so weird, right? It's one of those decks that just keep getting support also.
Yeah.
But the playstyle of Leomon is just so awkward. It's just trying to rush on level 4 and level 5. Mm-hmm. And then you get the float Leomon with all support, and it's just like, it's okay, but this is just like I don't know, is this some form of like champion rush?
I mean, that all being said, in EX5, the deck is like playable. It's like serviceable, right?
Well, because it got the actual top end.
Yeah.
Like, the current Leomon is like this. why did they even print Saber Leomon? Why does this card like exist in 2023?
Yeah, it's not great. So, yeah, I actually think Leomon is probably worse than Eosmon, TBH.
Yeah, like until the issue with this deck is that it doesn't do anything. Like you're playing this weird champion rush that doesn't generate like it's worse than like armor at pushing damage. And like yeah, you get to float a little bit. Okay, great, neat, but you don't do anything. You don't really have any level 6 or high end that you can go into that just benefit the deck really well.
Court spam, court spam, court spam.
What level 6 are you going to play into, buddy?
I don't know. Something. Rush Tyrannomon.
Yeah. It's just like your current lineup of level 6 is awkward. Yeah, I don't know. Like,
yeah.
It's a deck that exists.
Yeah. Alright, next we do have Fenrir, aka Lugamon, and this is the new protagonist in BT14, because of Seekers, AG. In this deck, I mean, you can just tell it was heavily pushed, right? Like, I think no one's gonna argue that they...
Did you right, buddy? Did you right?
Huh?
Did you right, buddy?
What?
Look at Tichu. Is that?
Oh. Okay. So story time. When this deck first came out, we tested it, and I was like beating every single Luga player. Like I was playing WarGreymon. I was beating every single Luga player, and I was just not very impressed. I was like, this seems like tier 2. This seems like a tier 2 deck. And then, okay, mind you, this was JP for week, not even release week, BT14. Okay. And then I retested the matchup against Testero, and then Testero OTK'd me on turn 3 games in a row, and I was like, oh. Well, now I wish I got OTK'd 3 games in a row during, JP BT14, but I didn't. So my perception was kind of warped and skewed, and Testero opened my eyes by throttling me.
You had like 5 people trying to argue with you that this deck wasn't T2, and you were adamant.
And nobody could back it up. So like I don't know what you want me to do. Like I was like, play me, and then they lost. So like, what do you want from me?
Wait, did you really play them? Because I felt like you did early testing with this deck, and then it was months later. Like there's a time gap here, okay?
Yeah, no. Like sporadically, like I would play people. I was like, because like I was convinced WarGreymon was like the best deck in the format, right? Because like I was like, what was it? It was Warg and Shine that was like going around, and I look at Warg and I'm like, dude, Warg looks like nuts. Like Warg looks insane. Like you just have everything in Warg, And so I played Warg a lot, and I kept beating every Luga, and I just wasn't ever impressed. I was just like, man, I don't know, like this doesn't seem very good. That being said, I still do think Warg has a good matchup in a Luga. I just, didn't play Warg once, and I got throttled. So I was like, oh, yeah. I get it now.
Yeah, so let's talk about the actual deck, right? Like,
yeah.
Luga is Luga. So story time over. Luga is a really interesting deck. It has a lot of memory gain, and it has several new mechanics.
I mean, it basically it has a built-in memory tamer for fun.
It has the new Mind Link mechanic where you put your AG tamer under and you gain alliance.
You gain alliance plus blocker, actually, which is pretty significant, TBH.
Yeah, pretty huge. So even if you don't OTK, you do set yourself up with a blocker. Yep. Pretty cool. It spawn a lot of body.
It spawns 4. It spawns 4 bodies.
Yeah. You know what Fenriloogamon does? Fenriloogamon, like on evolve, you don't pass turn until your opponent hit 3 memory.
Correct.
So it's effectively a 2 memory gain. On top of that, you spawn, like if you have the AG tamer, you play 3 bodies for fun. And then you have your alliance mechanics that you just go swing, unsuspend alliance, swing, unsuspend alliance, so you do like 6 damage there, and then you have like a Black Auto, you can end the game.
If you like Black Auto or Chimera, right? Like either
or. Chimera, and then like on swing it pop a body because they can pop a level 6.
Yay! Very cool.
Deck is really strong. It's an OTK deck with removal and a lot of board presence. So even when it doesn't kill, you're looking at 5 bodies. The only weakness of this deck, and I think we talked about this before, is that the weakness of the deck is that it does pass over 3 memory. So if you at least 3 memory, right? So if you do pass turn and you don't kill against some really strong deck, you do get blasted. That's the only downside.
Well, I think another downside is for you to get the third swing specifically, you do need to pop a body. It's a mandatory. You have to pop to get the unsuspend. So if your opponent plays in a raising area, you deny them the third swing, so they're going to need an additional 2 damage from somewhere to like actually lethal you, because like they can swing for 4 damage on the Fenrir. So then they need Black Auto, or Black Auto plus Chimera, and so like you're asking for a little bit more from them. Or if you have a way to deny them the pop, so like for example BlackWarGreymon protection, right? That denies them the pop, they don't get the unsuspend, and then you can block out the rest. I think.
But overall, very good deck.
Yeah, it's a very good deck, 100%. It's tier 1. I admit it, gang. It's tier 1. I have eaten my words. All right. I get teased about this like on a daily basis. But I actually don't think it's the best deck in the format. I know a lot of people do think it's the best deck in the format. I don't think it's the best deck in the format.
I think it has. It is a very explosive deck.
It's very good.
But, yeah, but like you said, there's a lot of strategy to counteract it.
Well, I think the big pro for this deck is that it's no, I don't know who's gonna argue with me on this. It's the best OTK in the format, right? It's the only OTK deck in the format that can randomly just like kill you turn 3, right? I think that's like the fastest I've been killed. It's a turn 3 kill.
Yeah, but then you also you have stuff like your opponent play a Pomo and you just sit there and cry.
Yeah, because your only out to Pomu is Hellugar, and if you're like, what if you play Pomo Black? Well, okay, well spend 3 memory, kill my Pomu, and then I'm just gonna drop another Pomu, or I'm going to use the memory that you wasted to just go crazy. Because I can go to Quartzmon, and you can't pop Quartzmon.
Yep, it cannot pop Quartz, so Quartz just says you're never unsuspending.
Like you can pop Quartzmon with Fenluga, right? You can pop the Quartzmon with Fenluga, but then if you do that, you're not getting your Soul Luga swing, and that slows you down significantly. If you're not getting your Soul Luga swing, that means you're not threatening lethal, and if you're not threatening lethal, that means you're not dealing with the rest of the board, and then it like spirals out of control, you know? And then, again, Crimson Blaze exists, and BlackWarGreymon is a really big abuser of Crimson Blaze because the format just has so many decks that can, like, you know...
Well, the other issue you have is that you need 4 bodies on board. Like, 4 additional body. You need 4 bodies on board to pop the Fenluga, right?
What, do you mean the quartz, or...?
Yeah, it's like the quartz, right?
You need... So it pops 3, and you need 4... Well, it's not 4 additional. It counts itself, funnily enough.
Yeah, you need 4 bodies, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But then you need to find a way to get rid of... like, usually they'll probably have the pummel, so you need it, like... Against... You can just run into a situation where they have a pummel and a quartz, and you just like... Huh, what they do in this situation?
Yeah, you don't do anything, right? And so, like, you're like, oh, what if they just don't draw Pomu? Well, it's Bloom. It's searchable by, like, everything. Palmon searches it, Lolamon searches it, the new Mimi searches it, Green Training Boost searches it, Green Memory Boost searches it, everything searches it. It's kind of hard not to find it, TBH, if you just play it at, like, high quantity.
And you have the same issue into yellow yellow vaccine.
Yeah, yellow vaccine has Pillowmon. What searches Pillowmon?
Yeah.
Oh,
even without...
Wait, question. Is Pillowmon vaccine? I'm pretty sure it is. I'm like 80% positive it is. It is. It is a vaccine. It's searchable. Yay!
It not even with okay, even without pillow though, like you get smoked by vaccine.
No. I you need the pillow. You need the pillow 100%. Helluga pops Venus and it sucks.
That's Helluga does.
Helluga does, yeah.
Okay.
And then you tell them to go find another Venus, and that one is
Okay.
Yeah.
That
That one's a bit of a stretch, but
anyways, tier 1.
Yeah.
Let's not spend all day on this.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think it's like fair to spend a little bit more time on Luga, only because like it's the you know it's the
new hot
it's the hot new deck, right? I do think it's tier 1, but it has some really not stellar matches in tier 1. LordKnightmon, it got new support. It got the new Knightmon promo, which is actually good, by the way. It works during both players' turns for some reason. I mean, I know the reason why, but like it's a 4-cost Evo too. Nothing really changes for this deck. I mean, it's cool. You get more Knightmons, and it's more like bodies to spawn. It's a better 5 to spawn. It has DP minus associated with it. Like, it's cool. Nothing really changes for it, but it's definitely more playable. It's like okay. It's like okay tier 3. I think the biggest issue with LordKnightmon is that nothing has protection associated to it. So you make a board and then immediately it gets broken, like almost instantly. Because I don't know, I'm just not impressed. Melga, all of you, have fun. Have at thee.
Tragic deck that is victim of the ban list. Unfair.
Tragic is crazy. Tragic is crazy.
I think it's pretty fair to say it's tragic.
No.
Without the EX5 support, I don't think you can realistically play a purple based Melga.
That's okay.
In BT14.
That's okay. You don't deserve it anyway.
Wow. This guy doesn't even pretend to be unbiased.
I'm not. I'm hella biased. I hate that dog, bro. If there's one deck in Digimon I would erase, it's Melga.
Well, you got beat by another dog very recently.
What? Who?
No. Talking about Fenrir.
Did I?
Yeah, you lost to Tesla. You got beat.
Okay, that was months ago though. I don't want PTSD against Fenrir, dude. I can floodgate that stupid dog. I can't floodgate this other dog.
Yeah, I don't. Okay, so
yeah.
Just aside, starter deck Melga support, very cool.
Yes.
Biggest one, I think the new Gammamon is amazing. The new WarGreymon is really good for the deck. It fixes the issue the deck was having after the ban. It's like, what level 5 do I play? Well, the new WarGreymon is just like, okay, you get to swing twice.
Yeah.
No extra security check though.
Yeah.
The balance is that safe. But anyways, very cool support. New Mega Ace is okay. I don't think it's crazy as a lot of people think it is. It does have the skip turn component.
I think it's pretty good. But that's because I hate that deck.
That's because you don't have the ability to. You have yet to develop the ability to play around Ace.
Bro, it evos for 0. Like
we'll get there. We'll get there someday. It's fine.
It evos for 0 on both turns.
It's fine. But yes, so I think the new support is very good. The issue is your ability to push your game is obviously much weaker because you lost Form of Wear. And now with the hit, I did think that the purple base version was probably a lot more consistent than the blue base. Just because on average you cycle a lot more cards to grab all your pieces. With the hit, you have to play blue base and you probably have to play Buka. Which is cool. I think the blue base is pretty neat, but you have there's some awkwardness with the deck because like if you play blue base, WarGreymon is a really important card. You can't really play blue boost. Like if you play blue training, it's gonna whiff on your most important level 5. Like that kind of issue that arises when you play blue base versus pure purple base. So while the deck is, it's very competent. It's very competitive. You can go down. You can swing twice. You do 2 to 3 checks in a turn, still win the game that way. It's just that until we get the next wave of support in EX5, this deck is just, it's not there yet. It's very okay.
So tier 2, right?
Tier 2. It's probably one of the more competent tier 2 decks.
I agree. I would agree with that. Okay. Mirage. So Mirage did get on the ban list. It lost the EX4 Mock Galgamon, which was the best Mock Galgamon, mind you. And so with that hit, what that does mean is that you are going to have a less consistent attack pattern because that Mock Alphamon was it was much harder to whiff on. The other ones, yeah, it'll whiff. Luckily, however, you do get a new 5 in the form of Zudomon. Zudomon is a really great addition to the deck. Gives you another form of removal to compensate, and you also get Gammamon. Gammamon with the floating and all that shenanigans. Mirage Gaogamon is still a pretty solid deck, if nothing else. For nothing less than the Bursma plus the 6, because those are both still insane cards. Realistically speaking, it's still a very solid tier 2 deck. To be honest, it still has really strong bounce mechanics. It still can attack a couple of times. The hand looping is still obnoxious. It gains so much memory still. It has a lot going for it still. If
it did very well in Japan,
yeah.
I think training was training
is a huge part of it as well. I agree.
Yeah.
I think if anything is going to make your life harder, it's your Bloom matchup is kind of rough because of quartz. Yes, you can burst mode the quartz, but at a certain point, they're kind of just faster than you. Especially with all the new support, so they kind of just get on board, amass a bunch of stuff, and then you have a little bit of a difficult time breaking everything apart very easily.
I think your issue is that your Shine matchup is still bad, and I think your Luga matchup.
Your Luga matchup is terrible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're both playing these dogs, okay? And one dog kills you a lot faster than the other dog. So,
Yeah, like if you're not moving out fast enough, Luga doesn't even need to OTK you, just beat you down, right?
Yeah.
And then you're staring down what, 4 bodies?
Yeah.
5 bodies?
It's 5. It's 5 bodies.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you're not removing all 5 bodies.
Yeah.
And if you don't OTK them on that turn, you just like it's over.
Yeah, so I mean, like, realistically, like I said, I think it's tier 2. I think it's like it's like pretty high tier 2, to be honest. Like, I think it's still very playable.
Yeah, it's good.
But like, yeah, training good, matchup spread mid, and loop. So this is Mill Loop, and Mill Loop actually received a huge buff, huge buff. Is Training Boost. Training Boost is one of the biggest offenders. I say offender. One of the biggest buffs for Mill Loop, because now you can run. They're already on 12 memory boosts. What, 16 memory boosts now? 12 boosts. Because they're running they run purple mem boost, they run mist, they run glaive, and now you can run training. So you have this really obnoxious play style that you just play the most uninteractive game as possible, and your opponent sits there twiddling their thumbs, and you're just like, damn, I hate my life, and you're just like, That being said, for the most part, you do really well into the meta, but there are a lot of matchups that are kind of just awkward. Like, Luga will just OTK you outright, and you're just like, oh, okay. Hope you have Deathslinger, haha. And then you have matchups like BlackWarGreymon, where you can't get rid of their stack, and they're just knocking on your doorstep a little too much. And those are 2 tier 1 matchups that you just really don't want to be bad into. But other than those 2 matchups, I think for the most part, you kind of just like cook a lot of the format. And one of the biggest, outside of like Testero, obviously, one of the biggest players that was pushing the Mill Loop agenda was, correct me if I'm wrong, Misao. Misao was one of the players that went to Worlds this last year, and he, during this era, was playing not the Worlds era, but like after Worlds era, he was playing a lot of Loop. He was playing a lot of Mill Loop. He won a relatively large tournament with Mill Loop during this format. And he was convinced like Mill Loop was like this very good tier 1. I don't remember if he quoted best deck in the format. He quoted like very good tier 1 deck. So yeah, I think Mill Loop is very good. I think it's a very, very good deck. What do you think?
This is what I think this is your one.
Really?
Deck. No, like this is one of the deck that you always do in every single tier list.
Oh.
That you just go on like out on a limb and you go completely unhinged and you stole something that just like, okay, that looks good enough for me. I do think Mill Loop is pretty good. I think you get beat by a lot more stuff than
what else does it get beat by?
I don't know. I think you can get run down by Melga. You can get run down by anything aggro. I think you actually might just get destroyed.
Well, so the issue with Melga, right, is that like if you're not outright just like killing them straight up, then you're probably gonna give them over like 2 to 3 different like boosts, right, and then they just pop off from there.
Possible, but it depends on
because that was the whole like conundrum back in BT12. Is that decks that like you swung, like you had to swing out like super early to try and like kill them before they killed you. But if you swung out early and you hit too many boosts, then they just pop off on you. And now they have training, so they're adding an additional 4 cards to their security.
I do think Melga does have the ability to OTK.
Still, really?
Yeah, Omni X.
Okay.
If you're playing into this deck where all they're doing is they don't pressure,
mm-hmm.
and you just sit there, you have time to build up your OTK. You have time to dig
mm-hmm.
for, you have time to actually dig for your one of promo
mm-hmm.
to try and kill them. So I think that's the issue.
Okay. So like let's say like okay, so we acknowledge like WarGreymon, BlackWarGreymon's good. We acknowledge.
I think it probably loses to Gao. Mirage.
Gao, really?
Yeah, I do think if you don't pop off early enough, Mirage just OTK
you. The Mirage OTK is a lot harder now though without the MirageGaogamon, right? Because you miss out on one of your unsuspense. Yes, you can swing out on 5 because of Bukamon. Oh, I guess maybe that works.
Yeah. Well, wait, I'm like, what are you talking about?
No, you have Buka. You have Buka now. You have Buka. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
I think.
Okay.
I think that's a valid argument. It might be the top of tier 2.
Yeah,
But
I'm being convinced. I'm being convinced.
Until we see actual result from it, I am not convinced. I think there's like the argument that you can swing into a lot of boosts is neat, but there's also the argument that because your win condition is mill, you actively don't do anything until you hit your win condition. So you can just give other deck time to set up and just blast you. Especially now that training boost is in the game, right? Because other deck can, like your argument is I set up training boost. Okay, well other deck can set up training boost too. And they can have a huge turn where they just blast you. Right?
Let me
And then there's also issue like you run in what do you do into like say you run into like blue hybrid or like one of the blue decks that run double flick gate.
Okay.
Like what do you do into Modoki and like
Okay.
what's his name?
Okay. I mean to be fair, you do have some forms of removal for that, but yeah, okay. I'll give it to you.
Yeah, like,
I'll give it. I'll concede it. I'll concede it. That is fair. That is valid. But I believe in Misao and Tessero, for the record. Just for the record.
Again, don't get me wrong. I think the deck is very good.
Yeah.
I think the deck is good. I don't know if you can quantify it as tier 1.
That's fair. That's fair.
Because tier 1 also means that it will see a good enough of play,
right?
Like a decent amount of play to be a significant part of the meta. I don't think I don't think Millip will be that deck.
I'm curious. I'm gonna look really quick at some data. If you want to do yellow vaccine really quickly while I'm looking at this.
Sure. Right. So we have the devil of the meta, Patamon himself. What is there to say? This card is a mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Card's a mistake. Alright, joking aside. Man, I kind of don't like Patamon. I hate.
Oh, like what its design represents?
Yeah, I really hate Patamon. I hate the way they designed this card.
Yeah.
It's free evolution. Kind of like RNG evolution. Like
yes.
if you, it's so annoying. This in combination with Messenger.
Yeah.
I think was like the most.
Yeah,
the most problematic cards that was designed in this set.
I agree.
And in a while, actually. I'm a big proponent for at least Messenger getting hit.
No, I 100%. I definitely agree. They both designs are not good. They're very bad designs.
With that said, is this deck a problem in the meta?
No.
I don't think so at all.
For disclaimer, they're cards that can eventually be very easily broken. I think is like the big thing, right?
But I think the issue with them not breaking the game right now is because the way that high-end level 6 are designed, we don't for yellow. Sorry, we don't really have that many aggressive yellow level 6, so their potential to pop off is less so. Yeah. They're just very annoying to play against. You ever see like Patamon evolve from freaking a 3 into a level 6 off like 1 memory and a boost? They've done that. It is so obnoxious.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, sidebar, because we're talking about Patamon. You didn't add Moste to this list, so could you mind doing that really fast?
Oh yeah, we
need to do Moste. I'm gonna take a photo of this so I don't lose it. Okay. I'll finish talking about Patamon if you want to do the Moste thing real quick.
You can just add Master yourself.
Can I add?
Wait, can you?
No, I can't edit. Remember?
Oh, okay. Whoops.
Okay.
All right.
But anyway, so I'll finish Patamon. So yeah, Yellow Vaccine. It's in a really interesting spot. There's a lot of virus-based Digimon that give you value with Angoramon. So like BlackWarGreymon, for example, Hydramon, anything really in purple. So like all the Beelzemon shenanigans and whatnot. Ruin Mode is a vaccine, so you don't really get anything out of that. And I believe Fenrir is a virus, but I'm gonna check. Yes, okay, so Fenrir is a virus, so you also get value versus Fenrir. So Angoramon has a really cool spot. You ramp like crazy through the Messenger of Hope plus Patamon. The new TK is such an insane engine. You gain a ton of memory. Blinding Ray has quite a bit of value as well via that. But one of the things that you do have to remember, I actually say that, but you also do get value with Venusmon and the 4-grade Dragon Engine, because with that, you're able to consistently put out a security attack -1 field to really just mess with your opponent. Venusmon is a very good card, and I think Venus Lock in general has a spot somewhere in the meta. But the issue that comes with Venus Lock, right, is you lose to quite a few things, right? There's a lot more in this format that can actually deal with Venus Lock. So for example, you have BlackWarGreymon. BlackWarGreymon has the ability to raid into Venus Lock, to raid into Venus. You can pop the Venus via BlackWarg. You have things like Bloomlord, who has Hydramon, that's end of turn, remove the Venusmon. You have Lugamon, end of turn, Hellugar pop Venus. You have things like Blue Flare, Blue Hybrid, where you can just stun the Venus. And then when you, or not so much Blue Flare actually. I guess Blue Flare with Sorai. But no, I'm sorry. Not Blue Hybrid. Blue Hybrid with Sorai gets the job done. Blue Flare is on play stun Venus. So yeah, you just have like a fair amount of things that can still get rid of the Venus. You auto lose to Mill Loop because you're just playing way too slow. And yeah, I think overall, in the grand scheme of things, I think it's a very solid deck. The ability to lock out your opponent from the game at times is really good. But there are too many decks, especially in the higher tiers, that give you a run for your money. So I think Yellow Vaccine, aka Venus Lock, is probably somewhere like in like the middle area, I would say. What do you think? Let me put that real quick.
Yeah, I agree. The issue still is that it doesn't win games that fast. Right?
Yeah.
Like, it's great that you're gaining ability memory and you fast evolve and you do all this thing. But you just don't win. Like, how do you win the game?
Right. Yeah.
BT4 WarGreymon.
Yeah, it's something.
Yeah. So, like, you can start out games. And that's great. Venus is great, but against anything that can answer Venus, you kind of, I don't know. It just feels really awkward.
Yeah.
It feels a lot of times like you're playing to not lose instead of playing to win. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, so
if you want to do that, just play Secon.
True, very true. Which we actually don't have Secon on this list. So while we're on the topic, why is Secon not on the list?
I don't think Secon is a real deck into next meta.
And why is that?
I think because presence of like Shine still being in the game. I just think there's like, yes, are you good into certain decks? Sure. I don't know. I just feel like, especially with the presence of Miller, I think this, yeah.
So I do.
To be honest with you, the real answer is just I don't really like Secon.
So I think there is a spot for Secon, specifically because of the Yellow Vaccine engine. Because that means you could use Patamon into Rapidmon, which I think is a very potent form of removal into most decks. And then you could like Pata into Rapid, and then Heaven's Judgment immediately as a follow-up, which I think is pretty good. So I think that probably there's probably a spot for Secon. Like we should put Secon, I feel like.
Yeah, but I don't want to encourage people to play Secon at locals.
Well, it's too late. Just play a deck that beats Secon then, loser. Throw it on there. Throw it on the list. Do it.
Fine.
Yeah.
Wait, what do you want to use to represent
like
Secon?
degradation or some bullshit. That's like what they always do. While you do that. Alright. Red Hybrid. I hate that deck. Not because like, oh, boo-hoo, Red Hybrid's so good. It's more like I think Red Hybrid is mid. I think Red Hybrid is very mid, actually. Red Hybrid, sometimes they just like hit the jackpot and they go crazy, ballistic, and like just roll you. But like, I feel like most of the time they just don't do anything really, and then they just sit there and like twiddle their thumbs. Into BlackWarGreymon, I mean, like they just wall you out. Into Bloom, you lose a quartz. Fenrir OTKs you, and Yellow Vaccine walls you.
I mean, we keep saying Blue Hybrid. Sorry, not Blue Hybrid. We keep saying that Red Hybrid is mid. And it's just like, but it keeps getting results.
I'm convinced the reason it keeps getting results is because it just keeps like burger flipping people, dude. Like I'm convinced the burger flip is just a little too strong on that deck. Not a little too strong, but like it's strong. The burger flip is strong. It's probably one of the better burger flip decks in the game. Thank you. I think it deserves a spot in like solid like tier 2 because of its burger flip potential. But like that's I don't know. I think Secon is like probably here, probably somewhere like along that vein.
You can play it if you really hate people.
Yeah. But yeah, Red Hybrid. Also, Red Hybrid does not benefit from Red Training Boost because you cannot training boost onto from a Tamer to a Hybrid. Yeah, you cannot.
No hybrid deck.
Yeah, no hybrid deck does. So yeah, inability to use training boost, no real new support. I don't know.
It's 2-2.
It's 2-2. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, it didn't change much in that way. It's been kind of 2-2-ish, and it didn't really get worse, but it didn't get better either.
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment. Okay, Yggdrasil, Royal Knights. Obviously didn't get any new support. No new cards for it to abuse. But for most decks, it's probably a little too difficult to deal with. Like most bad decks, right? Most good decks can deal with it, but most bad decks cannot.
It's just like it's spawned a lot of level 6 body, and the way you beat this deck is you clear the level 6 body, but that's a big ask for I think like the higher end of 2-2 can easily deal with the level 6 bodies, and this deck does like nothing, right?
Well, so I think it's interesting, really quick. You actually have a really good Bloomlord matchup, and you have a really good BlackWarg matchup.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, so like it's probably like very serviceable, I would say.
Yeah. I would put this in like the middle of 2-2.
Yeah, I would too. It's probably like up here. I think the fact that you do well into like 2/3 of tier 1 right now is pretty good. And the fact that you beat majority of like the lower tier 2 and below is really good as well. Like I feel like Royal Knights truly and genuinely is like the gatekeeper between like mid and like good, you know?
Yeah, you just have like you put everyone on this clock, which is like kill me before this point, or I'll win the game.
Yeah,
and it's like a lot of decks can't do that.
I agree. Then we have Rosemon. It's like a worse Bloom, and for like 2 days straight, this guy James Zero tried to convince me that Rosemon was good. He was like, "Oh, dude, it's a Bloomlord with an unsuspend, swing twice," and I was like, "Is it though?" The answer is
you get more swing. You get more swing
for 1 damage each.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
I mean, if your opponent has
if my opponent decides to walk into the very obvious in its face win con, then sure, you know. Turns out they don't, and then you sit there twiddling your thumbs. Yeah, I think this deck is like not the way. Like it's decent.
You don't think it's at least bottom 2-2?
No, I don't. I actually do not. I'm sure somebody out there will like try their best, and they'll probably like get some local success with it. But like, I think most of tier 2 cooks this.
Really? Because you can play all Bloom good support.
Yeah, I think the issue is your top end is just so much like not there. And then like if you're playing Bloom support, why not just play Bloom then? You know.
Yeah, your Diet Bloom.
Yeah, but like Diet Bloom.
What if you really like Rosemon?
Then play 1 or 2 in Bloom. Like
I'm just saying this is locals, right? You meant to have fun.
Well, yeah, sure, but like that doesn't mean we're gonna bump into tier 2, you know? Because like you think about it, like with Bloom at least, Bloom can actually make a proactive play. Bloom can swing for 2 checks, like going up without interacting with the opponent. Rosemon can't, or I guess Rosemon can.
Yeah, swing twice. And move out and swing twice.
And swing twice? Yeah. But it's and then you just like get immediately whacked. Yeah, I don't know. I dislike the fact that Rosemon is so much less proactive than Bloom is. Because Bloom, I mean like it gains memory on its Evo, which is really nice. The fact that it has the piercing to work with it. It has inherent DP gain, which Rosemon doesn't, by the way. So that's a really big issue because Rosemon's is swinging for like a pathetic, what is it, 11? I think because it's 3 cost Evo. It's 11k, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just feel like in any situation where you want to play Rose, Bloom is just better. So I don't know, man. Like I guess if your opponent plays into the Rosemon, it might be better. But like even then, you just Bloom swing into their stack 2 checks. Because Rosemon doesn't have piercing, which is arguably much better. for Bloom, right? And so yes, you can just play Bloom support and then just play Rosemon top end, but I think losing out on Bloom is like such a huge bane for the deck.
For disclaimer, I don't believe this deck is too chill. I was just curious if I could convince you to put it into chill.
Why? Like, all right, fine. You can have this next one then. Fuck you.
Yes. Okay. Red Purple Imperialdramon. We forgot to make another tier for this deck. Because again, this is its own tier.
It's Casino tier.
Yeah, it is truly the RNG tier.
Yeah.
It got one new card, Sadramon, right?
Yeah, the ShineGreymon. It plays out a Vmon or a Warmon for free from your trash.
Yeah, it's neat. That's good. But this deck still needs like everything under the sun to go right.
I think my issue is that ShineGreymon is a card that should have came out in EX3. It's a card that would have been really good in EX3, and now that we're in BT14, it's not great.
So this deck design kind of annoys me because of I don't let me think. I don't necessarily think the way they designed this deck was bad, but what annoys me was the inconsistency between this deck and another 2-color deck, right? Like, why is this like? I understand, like Shine, for example, is only one line. But why does Shine get benefit of everything in the deck being like dual color?
Yeah,
but then like
that is a mistake.
Yeah, like but Vmon is all red, and then like
Warmon
the line
is all
purple. So you can't play like boost. Like this deck is inconsistent, and you can't really play one of the big consistency booster in the game, which is training boost, memory boost. So it's just really annoying. I just hate the way this deck is designed. And I hate, spoiler, EXY. I also hate the way that the other deck in EXY, that's 2 colors.
Oh, Grace Nova?
Yeah, when like we have existing 2-color deck in the game that the cards benefit from being dual color. So either you stop doing that with all those decks, or you make these decks better. I don't, it just annoys me.
Yeah.
That it just, yeah.
Yes.
This deck is like,
it's like
unplayable. It's for fun.
It's better than Lord Knight.
If you are a main character, you should play this deck.
Yeah.
You should be
fair. All right.
You would do okay.
ShineGreymon, the big boogeyman, right? This is the deck that everyone's probably really tired of at this point, but I hate to tell you, it's tier 1.
It got a slap on the wrist. Barely a slap. It got pinched.
It lost Geo Gray, and in exchange, it gets both red and yellow training boosts, which it could use because everything in that deck is red and yellow. Ooh.
Yeah. Which was what my rant is talking about. I don't know if you guys pay attention to Japanese meta, but if you look at majority of the Japanese list that play this deck, surprise, it plays like
it plays like 6 to 8 training boosts.
Yeah. And it's just like, oh, okay, my training boost just grab all my tamers and then grab all my Digimon. Why don't I just play it? So this is actually one of the main culprit of one of the main culprit of why people say training boost is a problem.
Yeah.
Is this fucker right here.
Yeah.
With that said, it's probably tier 1 still.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think it's like on the higher end of tier 1 too. Like I think it's very good.
It's competitive into everything.
The fact that Marcus is a 4 means you can still high roll the living hell out of people, which I think is crazy, to be honest.
Yeah. A lot of lists was playing Geo at 2 anyway, so it got 1 card hit.
Yeah. Actually, take care of this next card. I actually want to check something really quickly. Very, very fast.
Yes.
Yeah. So fun.
Remember? So do you remember way early on in the game, you were trying to convince Joey and I that the original Rusty Tyrannomon was a really good card?
No, I hated that card. You can't gaslight me here. I remember what I said. I said this card is ass. I played Tyrannomon before I played Rust Tyrannomon. You can't. You cannot do this to me. No.
And I will put the log later.
Do it. Pull the log.
At one point, you're like, "Oh, Rusty Tyrannomon has a lot of future potential because it can attack unsuspended."
Okay. Future potential. I said future potential. All right. You can't get me there. All right.
But yes. Anyways, so this card is that future potential for rest Tyrannomon.
It's an entirely different card. Like,
Not me for the deck, for the deck.
oh man. Yeah.
What does it do?
I
forgot.
it's on Evo. It suspends everything with DP equal or less, I believe. And whenever a Digimon is deleted by battle, you burn the top of your opponent's security.
So yeah, so this card is a blast card that doesn't benefit from blasting.
No,
because
you can like tap a whole board.
The majority of the time when your opponent is swinging, they're already suspended. So you get to tap one other Digimon, I guess, into a live matchup. I guess in Tuluga you get to stop their bodies that they play. Woo. What was I learning about again?
What? Hang on, I'm trying to find a deck article to like double, because I want to see if this deck is actually relevant or not in this format. So
I lost my train of thought, but Tyranno was one of those decks that just got like one random card every other set or so, and it's just like they never do anything. And this feels like it could have been a lot better. Why doesn't this card have like blocker or something?
It needed a lot of things, but also I found it. I found the article I was looking for. Okay, does this deck work in this format? It does. Okay, we can actually talk about this. We can actually talk about this deck. Okay, do me a favor. Can you put like Kazemon or Zephyrmon on the list?
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, go put it on the list and then we'll talk about it. Tyrannomon's like tier 3. Okay, congrats guys.
Is this worse than everything else on tier 3?
No, it's better. It's like decent rookie rush, or it's like decent champion rush. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Who cares? While you add the demon really quickly, I'll talk about Ulforce. So Ulforce, this is actually a deck I think has a lot of potential. I constantly underrated Ulforce, and then Kiki had to go and like prove me wrong like 4 different times. So I refuse to make that mistake again. Ulforce receives a really huge buff in the form of both Goma, Zudo, and Joe. Because these are all cards with Source Strip that selects anything, right? Oh, it's done? Okay, cool. Let me reload the page real quick. But the fact that you remove anything is actually super huge, because that means in matchups like BlackWarGreymon, for example, you can select the Greymon X, and you can select the Alteras mode, strip them both, bounce. And you're just like, whoop-de-doo! And so then they have to rely on BT8, BlackWarGreymon, and Hades Force to remove your Tamers fast enough, and if they don't see those cards, then you just get rid of their stack, then like, and then if they're playing the reactive game, and they're like trying to like chill in the back, wait for you to make a move, and then like you waste your bounce, then you can try to outright OTK them because you have full Force X. So,
yeah, if you ever play this deck, one of the things that you notice is that your low end is pretty mid, right? And like your egg is pretty mid.
Oh, Bukamon's so broken, dude.
Yeah, you get Bukamon, you get Gamma. I mean, sorry, not Gamma. You get Goma. Yeah, and then like Goma can strip a source, and you get Buka. You get a chip early, so now your OTK is a lot easier because you're chipping. Like with the issue with the issue with Greymon is you're moving out. If you try to chip, you lose your stack, and it feels really bad. Now you can chip. You leave a body on board, and you have like this pressure, right? And
yeah, if you kill like the body that's on board, and they float into a Gammamon, they can build off the Gammamon.
Yeah,
like, it's kind of lit.
Yeah, the deck is gas. It has access to Zudomon Ace.
And you also now have Training Boost, which searches for all your blue Tamers.
Yeah, it's just good.
Yeah.
So it makes your OTK is easier too.
Yeah, so like you do pretty well actually. You now have like a pretty solid BlackWarGreymon matchup because of the fact that you strip their protection.
Yeah.
Into Luga, you're able to deny the pop, so you could deny one of their plays. You also have like that bounce plus Ulforce X, so you can end it with the evade and all that stuff. So you have a lot of like room to play around Luga. Shine.
You also have like you have the. And I'm not saying that you have to play it, but if you do want to play, you have access to the Leomon engine still, so you can set up blocker.
Yeah, Leomon engine is so good.
Yeah.
And Shine, apparently Shine's not that hard of a matchup because Kiki is cooking it. So you know, if Kiki can do it, anyone else can do it as long as you practice. Realistically speaking, I think the only matchup that you kind of like want to tear your hair out is like Bloom. I almost call it Quartz because really it's just what it is. Because like, what do you do to quartz? And I think Ulforce players have genuinely just accepted like, I'm just gonna kill you before you get to quartz, which is valid. That is completely valid. I respect it.
Or you play an option removal to bot deck the quartz.
Yeah, but like these Ulforce players, they've just forsaken that and just added more gas to the tank so they can just like outright kill.
Yeah, I understand. It's like sometimes you just have one bad matchup. There's nothing you can do about it. You accept it, right?
So that all being said, because Ulforce has a lot of gas going for it now, right? It has it has a tamer that gives you memory outside of Arena because of Joe. You have a brand new rookie that works with you. Training boost is super good in your deck. You have Buka, you have Zudo. Is this tier 1? That's my question. That is my question for you, James. What do you think?
Yeah, this is one of the scenario where I kind of wish we still do 1.5.
Yeah.
Because there's like 3 decks on this list that I would put in 1.5 if we have it, because they just feel like better than everything else. This would be it. I think this is up to this. Okay, so of all the stuff that we've put on this list, I personally feel like this is the best tier 2 deck.
Yeah.
I don't know if I put it in tier 1.
So
it's really good. It's really it sounds really good on paper.
It's really good, right?
Yeah. I don't. What reasoning would we not put in tier 1?
I mean, it would be quartz if there is one.
But having one bad matchup.
I know, right? It might just be Ulforce tier 1 time, baby. It might just be. Back in BT11, I almost took Ulforce to Nats because I was like doing really, really well into BlackWarGreymon. And I was telling the guys, and I was like, hey guys, I'm thinking about taking Ulforce, you know, like it's doing really well for me. And then Tasty goes and puts it in his tier 1, hypes it up. He's like, this deck is so gassed, dude. I'm like, what are you doing? Why would you do me in like this?
I'm kidding.
It might be time. It might be time to put Ulforce in tier 1. I kind of want to do it because like,
you know what? This one time only.
This is the one. This is the one we're letting through.
Yeah, I'll let Ulforce.
Oh, okay. Let me think about this. Let me actually think about this. Hold on. So your BlackWarGreymon matchup, you can strip all their protection and then bounce them. Shine apparently is not that bad because Kiki can do it really consistently. And you know, again, if Kiki can do it, then anyone can do it as long as you learn how to do it. You can have.
Okay, let's talk this out.
Okay.
I think Shine average row. You can match them in speed. If you open 2 Rena, you probably OTK them just pretty fast. Right? Like that feels pretty realistic.
Right.
Like because Shine also Shine does spend time on board playing 1 stack. I think depending on how Shine open, because a lot of times you play into Shine, they do spend time digging for both tamers. So you chip them once. You know what? It might.
Also, Ulforce X does bounce Venus.
Yes.
So you also have a solid yellow vaccine.
Yeah, the fact that you have access to Ulforce X now compared to BT11 means that your OTK threshold's a lot higher. Oh, man.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, dude.
Okay, I can...
Right?
Yeah, alright, we'll put it in tier 1.
That's... My god. Now, I don't think it's, like, high tier 1 or anything, for a disclaimer. Or is it? Wait, is it?
It's viable into everything. Okay, I guess the only argument here is that your Fenrir matchup might be sus because you might be kind of slow into Fenrir.
If they don't kill you turn 3 and you stabilize first, I think you're in a really good position because of evade.
Yeah.
Right? Because evade just makes it like you're super difficult to deal with.
Right. But I'm just saying, of all this matchup, the worst potential matchup is just Fenrir opening well, right?
Yeah.
Because like Fenrir Hyro is probably much scarier than Shine.
Okay. Fenrir is definitely higher than Bloom. I thought about that, but
yeah.
Is Ulforce better than Bloom? That's the question, right?
I don't think so because I think if Fenrir is really popular, I think Bloom matchup into Fenrir is way better.
Okay, then Ulforce bottom of tier 1.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. WarGreymon. So WarGreymon as a deck is actually okay. So like for the longest time, people like it's just like why would you play Warg when you could play BlackWarGreymon, right? And that was true for a very long time. But things are kind of different now, right? Because now we've gotten an entire wave. Ow, I just hit my hand on my table. Ow. We just got an entire wave of WarGreymon support. You have training boost. You have an entire new starter deck. Things are looking on the up for WarGreymon, right? And so James and I, we were like making this tier, like we were like discussing like where would like things go on the tier list, right? Because obviously, why would you do this blind? Are you dumb? Um, and we went back and forth on WarGreymon for a bit, right? And the argument that we came up with was, well, what does WarGreymon do different than BlackWarGreymon? Does it do anything better? Like what's the dynamic there, right? Because like everyone agrees, BlackWarGreymon very good, right? BlackWarGreymon has a lot going for it. WarGreymon, on the other hand, so if BlackWarGreymon is the control version, WarGreymon very much so feels like a more aggressive, like beat down aggro OTKU kind of version, right? And so for the longest time, it's like, why would you do that over the control version? Well, if you look at Japanese results, actually, you'll notice, starting from BT14, WarGreymon actually has more results than BlackWarg, interestingly enough. It has more results in BT14 and EX5, so across 2 different formats.
I do think, okay.
Yeah.
And I do think that's new toy syndrome. Japan kind of has.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with you, but like we still can't like to like some degree we kind of have to look at that, right? But more important,
the deck is very good. The deck is very good, but I do think the representation it saw was definitely new
that's
toy
fair.
syndrome.
That's valid. That's valid. But okay, so let's think about the matchup spread, right? So because WarGreymon gains much more DP than BlackWarGreymon does, because WarGreymon, the Raid WarGreymon's plus 3,000 on Evo, you're much better at using Metal Greymon X, so that's another plus 3,000 DP. And then you have things like Tai giving you an extra 2,000 DP. You have all this DP adds up, right? But the point is, like, you're gonna ramp your DP much higher than BlackWarg does on average. Okay. So that means when you pair into BlackWarg, you can swing into BlackWarg and you're gonna be bigger than them. So you actually just beat them down, right? That's pretty good. Having like a potentially like net positive matchup into BlackWarg is pretty good because we have Raid, right? That means you don't have to rely on BT8 Metal Greymon plus Gaomon to win the mirror. And then you could say like, oh, well, BlackWarGreymon can just, they can play Raid WarGreymon. Well, yeah, sure, you could. You absolutely could. And that's where like the difference in like the aggression comes, because BlackWarGreymon, I mean, you would use Raid WarGreymon as a defensive tool, whereas WarGreymon, I mean, you're using Raid WarGreymon to like beat someone's door in, right? You're swinging out like hella hard,
Yeah, I will say this is one of the aggro deck in this meta. Mm-hmm. This is one of the more stable one because you do have access to protection.
Yeah,
and you are probably looking to do like 4 checks,
Yeah.
On the on the turn you go out.
You also you do have an OTK, right?
Yeah.
Because of Omni X.
Yeah. So you do set up like a very big body on board, and you're turning lethal. So that's one very good thing with this deck. Although overall, and we're just talking about matchup wise, I think it has pretty similar matchup spread as BlackWarGreymon, but
well, so I think
your Shine matchup is very sus.
So yeah, so we'll get there, right? So Shine is a little awkward, right? Because you don't use Metal Greymon X as well as BlackWarGreymon does, so you're not going to use that DP minus very effectively. You can make the argument that you're going to be bigger than the amount of DP minus that ShineGreymon is able to output, and that's a valid argument. But sometimes ShineGreymon they can get there, right? And that's kind of the scary part. So that matchup, little bit dicey, but at the same time, you can also argue that because you have so much more aggression than BlackWarGreymon does, you might just be able to outright kill ShineGreymon first, right? I think that's valid. Into Luga, I actually think you have a better matchup weirdly enough, you have a better Luga matchup than BlackWarg does. And I mean, that's like debatable because like they both have a good Luga matchup. But the thing for BlackWarg is that BlackWarg, you have more removal built into your deck, so you can like break the Luga board very much more easy. Or you can break the Luga board easier. WarGreymon, you have more DP than Luga, so you just outright wall it. So they can't swing the Luga because then you'll just slap it, which is really huge. And I think that the different ways they approach the Luga matchup, I think the WarGreymon kind of handles it better, right? Yeah. Not only that, but both decks have access to Crimson Blaze because they're both red. So that means you still have a way to break the Luga board, right? I think that's really good. Bloom, kind of the same situation where Crimson Blaze like heavy caps Bloom. The one big difference is that you don't have redirect in the same way that BlackWarGreymon does. So like if you get tapped out, you're not going to be blocking anything. that's kind of an issue. Sure, right? Um, and I think that's totally valid. So I think
Horse is still a problem for you.
right. So I think maybe your Bloomlord matchup is a little bit sketchier than if you were BlackWarg, which is fine because you're still probably fine into it because like Crimson Blaze and all Crimson Blaze and all that other jazz. And you have WarGreymon X as well that helps you pop stuff. So there's like a bit of an ebb and flow there. And then you have your Ulforce. You're into Ulforce. There's like an argument you're better into Ulforce because you can just outright kill them, which is pretty good. You don't have the same pop as BlackWarGreymon does, but like I don't know how relevant the pop is to begin with because of evade. So like, you know. That all being said, I think for the most part, WarGreymon does have a very, very, very good niche for the format, just being an aggressive version of BlackWarGreymon with a lot of the same benefits, and the difference being in like the matchup spread within tier 1, because you do just handle certain matchups better than others. So that being said, is it where in tier 1 does this go? Because I'm kind of conflicted, to be honest with you. Right? Because I think BlackWarg.
I think when you break it down, it's pretty equivalent to BlackWarGreymon in most of the matchup. It has like one more sus matchup, but then like the other matchups are better.
Right, exactly. It's like you have the new Agumon. The new Agumon is fantastic for the deck, right? The new WarGreymon, like you get the warp play off, and like the warp play isn't as like it's not like stellar.
I think
it's not stellar, but
I think you can make the argument that this deck is probably as good as BlackWarGreymon. It's just different.
Which is like it's hard to like say which is better because of that, right?
Yeah, because this is a lot more proactive, right? And I think we ran into multiple situations where BlackWarGreymon
it just doesn't do enough damage.
Yeah, being slower just give your opponent a lot of time. Like we play. How often do we play the BlackWarGreymon and Melga matchup where you just get smoked?
A lot.
Yeah, you just get smoked. Even through the auto protection and everything, just because like you're so slow to kill, and Melga just has the time to build up, right? I think you make the argument in that, maybe this is tier 1.
No, I mean I think it's tier 1. Like don't get me wrong, I think it's tier 1. I just tier 1?
Do we put it above Shine?
See that's also like the tricky conundrum, right? Because Shine is so good. So I guess the question is, does it have enough merits over BlackWarGreymon?
So the argument is this actually best deck in format? Because your previously best deck in format is BlackWarGreymon, right? So is there an argument that this is best deck in format because it's BlackWarGreymon but just more proactive?
I kind of just want to say it's a tie, to be honest. Like I know we have to say like one of them is better. But
one of the advantage of this deck, it does have access to the warp play.
I think, and I'm probably gonna regret this in the end of the day. Probably. I think BlackWarg in the grand scheme of things is the better deck, and I only say that because of its ShineGreymon matchup.
Okay. If we assume Shine is gonna be popular, I can agree with that.
I think Shine is still gonna be very popular. I mean, like I say that, but like at locals it probably won't be. But like in like a competitive bubble, right? Shine should be popular. Shine is still a very good deck. Shine is like a disgusting deck. Assuming Shine is popular still, I think BlackWarg is better.
Actually, if anything, Shine should be more popular.
It should be. It should be. Right?
Yeah. Because if you play Shine, and any Shine player knows that deck is incredibly frustrating to play. In a tournament setting before BT14.
Oh, that's true. Now you have 8 more consistency boosters, actually.
Right? Because like, how many of you have ever played Shine where you have games where you just go completely, you just went off and then you have like the best game of your life, right?
Yeah.
And then like there's so many other games where you just open like a completely unplayable hand. And you sit there and you draw and you just keep breaking and you draw and you keep breaking, right?
Yeah.
And that's the frustration of playing Shine in BT13. That problem kind of almost go away now that you're playing 7 training boosts.
That's actually very valid. So okay, so let you know, like I think we're both in agreement here that BlackWarGreymon is probably the best deck because of that Shine dynamic. I would say maybe.
do we say Shine is best deck in format due to training boost?
No, I don't think it is.
You don't think it is?
No,
Why would you say that?
I think yes, training boost is like a really huge buff for the deck, but because the GeoGreymon that plays the Marcus out for free is out from security specifically is at 1. I think that kneecapping the deck a little bit is gonna give the other decks enough time to like kind of catch up in terms of the speed, if you will. Because if you don't open the Marcus in your hand and you have to like waste time on like doing the training boost to like get it out, right? Like to find the Marcus, you slow down your game plan like by a turn or two, which that can be like the difference between Ulforce or like Luga or like WarGreymon just like beating you down, right?
Okay, then in that case, then does WarGreymon go in the third slot? Is top 3?
I think Warg is top 3. I think Warg is top 3 for sure. Is it better than Shine? I don't I don't know.
Because the argument you're making is that it has a good matchup into WarGreymon, which is the theoretical, in this scenario, is your best deck in format, right?
Right.
If WarGreymon is really popular, this has a good matchup.
And to be fair, it's not like you can't run Metal Greymon X and WarGreymon. Like you can still do that, right? So
do we put this in second slot?
I think it's a second slaughter, yeah. I think it's a second slaughter.
I mean,
like at the end of the day, it's probably like very small like margins and like the difference in between all of these. Like it's.
I think Greymon has been getting consistently good support, and the new Agumon is insane for the deck.
Yeah.
Having a free evolution for level 4 is kind of nuts, because now your BT5 Greymon is a one memory game, right?
This is true. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of huge.
I can't lie. This is probably the most conflicted I've ever been on a tier list placing we've done in like the last almost 3 years now.
Yeah, I mean whether we're right or wrong, I think
it'll still be in tier 1. I feel like
but I'm saying though, previously whenever we're right or wrong, like after the fact, I think we have a pretty clear idea of how it should look. I think this is one of the first tier lists where I'm just like, man, I'm not really sure about some of these tier 1 placement. And you know me, I hate putting so many decks in tier 1.
But like there's so many decks that are just like really good this time around, right?
Yeah, like normally I wouldn't put Ulforce in tier 1, but like it feels like it's good enough to be in tier 1.
Thank you, Kiki. Kiki's a real one for that one.
Yeah. Moving on.
Yeah, Blue Hybrid. So Blue Hybrid has made a resurgence thanks to Tommy. Blue Hybrid has also topped an event in JP already, a 6-round event. It went X and 1. And I don't like Blue Hybrid.
In testing, it's felt very mid.
In testing, it's not performed very well. Yeah, and like I get it. Like we're testing EX5 against Blue Hybrid, but like in EX5, you get access to Dianomon, you get access to a Zulongmon, right? You get like new tools. It's not like Blue Hybrid got left in the dust. My issue with Blue Hybrid is okay. So like Cherrymon for one, Cherrymon plus Quartz.
Not even Cherrymon, but just like Quartz.
Yeah,
you auto lose against Quartz.
Yeah, Cherry Quartz is like so hard to deal with. If you're playing against Luga, I mean, they try to OTK you. If they hit a security bomb, it stops their OTK. They Chimeramon, and then OTK you anyway. If you play into Warg or BlackWarg, I mean, they have Hades, right? They have the Hades if they want to just blow you out of the water. They have BT8 BlackWarGreymon if they want to do that. Against Shine, they can just look for an outright OTK play. Like, what are you stripping? Nothing really. Like, I get you could Sorai them. You can Sorai.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I think your argument is like you're pretty good against Shine with Sorai.
Yeah.
You do have access to Source Strip, so you are pretty good to both the WarGreymon and getting rid of that protection. But the other issue that you have is that you don't really remove them. They just kind of
and BlackWarGreymon still has a redirect with that.
Yeah. So that's one problem that you run into. Although I guess you're pretty good into WarGreymon on average. If you do strip the source, they don't get the crit, so they can't really kill you as fast. And then like if you have the WarGreymon and boy, you can just keep stunning it. They can't really kill you.
I think that's like the Hades force dynamic, right? Like if they have the Hades, like it probably gets a lot harder.
Yeah.
If they don't have the Hades, then you're probably in a good position.
Yeah. It depends how many Hades they can run. One thing about training boost though is that it does boost the consistency of Hades.
Mm-hmm.
So there's an argument like, oh, it's easier to play Hades now that you have training boost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like
it's feel very too.
Whoa. So no. X antibody.
Yes, I again I know that you can't strip the X antibody.
But that also means that all of their abilities are turned off.
Yeah.
So do they really like?
Oh,
yeah.
that is annoying. I forgot about that.
So X antibody versus Warg, Black Warg, you can't do anything into them, right? Because now all your cards are vanilla.
Yeah, I forgot Blue Hyper specifically said you have to have
yeah. So it's really awkward.
It's like 2-2.
I'll give you Shine. I'll give you the Shine matchup, but everything else seems kind of rough. Yeah, it's like tier 2.
Yeah, in testing it didn't feel that great.
No, testing is very disappointing. Is it better than Sekon?
I don't think so. I think Sekon's probably better. Sekon's probably better positioned into some of the tier 1 decks at this point.
I also think it's worse than Blue Flare, to be honest. I think it's a worse Blue Flare.
Yeah, I think you can play it around Blue Flare. It's around Blue Flare.
Yeah. Okay. Machinedramon. Machinedramon is a deck that has actually received very significant buffs in BT14 thanks to the yellow vaccine stuff, because spoiler alert, half the deck is vaccine.
Yeah, you guys ever get free evolve into Gammamon?
Yeah.
One cost evolve into freaking level 5 and then slam a level 5 and then they pass it like one after doing this stupid.
No. Because sometimes you hit the GeoGreymon and they get the Mirror, and then you messenger for the Angoramon, and then they get the Angoramon, and that plays out the Lady Devimon, and then they go Moss Day, and then you're a little depressed. Anyway. Yeah, Moss Day's pretty good, TBH. Machinedramon surprisingly has a really good matchup into a fair amount of tier 1, surprisingly. Into Luga and Bloom, you do pretty well because you have access to Imperialdramon, and Imperialdramon is a vaccine, mind you. So you can A, search it out, and B, you realistically speaking can cheat it out as well. So that's pretty good.
Into Shine, if you don't get OTK, you can pop the Tamer.
Yeah, but your Warg matchups is really sketchy.
Yeah, I mean that hasn't changed.
Yeah, that's been the same since BT11. Realistically speaking, Moss Day is like tier 2, but like it's a good tier 2. Like it's a very like it's like a high tier 2, I feel like, to be honest. Maybe a little lower, but
do we want to talk about the LM set tech for Moss Day?
Quant?
Yes.
No.
So
no, I don't think there's value in it, TBH.
Well, I mean, I've seen lists run Quant.
Well, yeah, but we don't have Quant. We're probably not getting Quant for a long time.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. But again, I've seen Moss Day lists that run Quant, which does solve the Greymon.
It does.
Yeah.
But alas, no Quant. But yeah, do we think Moss Day is like high tier 2? Because like
I think it's a very competent deck.
I think it's very competent. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is like I think realistically, if Moss Day top, I would not be surprised.
I think Hunters is probably like a little bit lower. TBH.
Yeah.
It's like here maybe.
Yeah.
Whatever. It doesn't really matter.
But yeah, like we might randomly see a Moss Day top at that in real life regional.
Yeah. Okay, and then finally we do have the yellow hybrid deck. So this yellow hybrid deck is something that came out of EX5. It's EX5 yellow hybrid deck. And it was popularized, I think, by Misao, unironically again. And Misao was saying that this deck was arguably, it was like the sleeper deck of the format, right? He was saying that it's basically a pseudo security control that just spams out hybrid Digimon off Tamers, and then you just like whack the hell out of your opponent, right? So the concern we had for this deck was with like if Marcus gets hit, the deck loses a little bit of steam. And then Marcus didn't get hit, and GeoGreymon got hit instead. So you still have access to like all your Marcus plays and stuff like that. And so the thing you do is that you have all your Tamers. You spit out all these Tamers, and you just like you start swinging at your opponent. You like start clocking them in, and then you use the Agumon, and you also turn the Marcus into like Digimon, and you start punching with those Marcuses. And then you spam like removal like Trident Gaia or Heaven's Thunder or Crimson Blaze. And yeah, you're really just playing set control, but like with offense. So I guess my question is this playable in BT14, right? Because it's playable in EX5. Granted, you did run like 3 GeoGreymon, and so like GeoGreymon at 1 is a bit of a hit, admittedly. Is this still playable though? What do you think?
I think it's playable, but it's nowhere near as good as it was before. I think the Geo was a big thing for this deck, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, just being able to Yeah. Yeah. With the Geo, I would put this like high tier 2.
Mm-hmm.
Without the Geo, I think realistically it's like mid to low tier 2.
Mid to low tier 2. I think so. In the let's think. So you're really good in the Bloom because you have so many bombs and you have Crimson Blaze, right?
Yeah, it's like it's almost is as good as second in the worst case scenario. Is as good as second.
Yeah, right. I think it's like probably a better Secon, TBH.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So like if we play second there, this is at least what second is.
Yeah. I think realistically speaking, most of tier 1 is probably very difficult for you, I would say.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you do really well into a lot of like a good chunk of the rest of the format, right?
Yeah.
So I this one's a little bit harder for me to place, I guess. I do think the hybrid beatdown strategy is very interesting. And the fact that you could use that Agumon to basically turn Marcus into a hybrid is really cool. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was some semblance of success with this deck. But yeah, I agree. If this had GeoGreymon, this would be like a high tier 2, I would say.
Yep.
But yeah. So we joked about it. We actually did break 2 hours. This is the first time we've ever broken 2 hours on a tier list video. And I think that really...
because we keep adding cards to adding decks to this
I mean that like yeah, we did for sure. But
yeah,
I think the bigger reason why is because like there's so much to discuss. Like I get like we don't have any.
Yeah, there's a lot of new interaction. There's like a heal. Ace is a whole new mechanic.
Yeah.
And the training boost really does significantly impact the meta in how many decks it affect.
Yeah.
Like we put tier Y as a joke, kind of, but like honestly, like the it's more like, why would you play this deck when there's so many relevant deck in tier 2, right? Look at how big tier 2 is.
I can confidently take any deck in tier 2 and like I can win at least locals with it, dude. You know?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, you can probably like do okay on tier 3.
Yeah, like
machine probably does okay in locals,
yeah. Like you were saying it. Wow, we just said like a lot. That felt weird. But I feel that the new design philosophy for the game, the introduction of training boost, Ace, like the game has genuinely shifted in the way that we view it and can evaluate it. And I think that's why we have to spend so much additional time talking about like all these different dynamics and stuff like that.
Yeah, Ace is an interesting turning point for the game.
Mm-hmm.
If you, for someone who's have not been doing a lot of playtesting with a Japanese card, you can look at some of the Ace card in the set, and you're like, this kind of sucks,
Mm-hmm.
And it is because it's the first wave of Ace card. I think they were trying to be really careful.
Yeah.
And I agree. Like a lot of the early Ace cards sucks, but as we've been testing the new Terror deck, and as you progress into new and newer support, Ace has been like a really huge mechanic for the game, and it completely changed the way that the game is played.
Yeah.
And I'm really interested to see more of Ace going forward, and how it shifts, and just having interaction in your opponent's turn.
Yeah.
It's gonna just move. I know people like to complain that Digimon can be pretty solitaire sometimes. Because like a lot of meta that we've had so far, it's just like you just going off, doing your whole full combo, and your opponent really don't have a way to interact with it. But I think that's changing.
Yeah, Rapidmon plus Mega Gargo
is huge. Just like you have to play with it. It's the best feeling ever. It's just like your opponent swing, they get hard punished by that combo.
Yeah.
And I think we're just gonna get more Ace going forward. Like it's gonna be a pretty push mechanic. And yeah, I'm just excited in the game direction with BT14.
100%. And like full disclaimer, I think in a world where we had regionals, I think anything below security control probably gets dropped into tier 3. But because we don't have regionals and like it's a more like a locals friendly kind of situation, I think a lot of these tier 2 decks can like, they'll survive. But I think realistically anything below SecCon gets like dropped to tier 3, personally.
Yeah. If this is a more comprehensive tier list, we technically have a 1.5, and we move 3 decks to the top 3 decks to 1.5, and when maybe we move like a couple of the tier 2 decks to, in tier 1 we move like 3 of the decks to 1.5, and then in tier 2 we move a few like 1 or 2 decks up to 1.5, and then everything probably up from like Melga to Brigaderdramon is probably or maybe even Blue Flare is like 2-2, and then everything below that gets dropped to 2-3.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the BT14 tier list. We really hope you enjoyed it. This is a if you've made it all the way through the 2 hours, I kudos to you. Very impressed. Thank you all so much for the support. We really do appreciate it, and look forward to the content that will be coming out for the rest of BT14. Go see the 02 movie.
Yeah, let's go.
Yay! All right, peace out, guys. Peace.